Breaking. Bakili Muluzi withdraws from Lungu burial mediation. Crisis deepens. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of the InspirAfrica official. I'm Nakash. What a week it's been across southern Africa, folks. From Pretoria to Lusaka, the headlines have been absolutely relentless. And today we bring you a story that is quite literally unfolding as we speak. In the annals of African politics, we've witnessed many things. Elections disputed, leaders rising and falling. But what happens when a former head of state lies in a Johannesburg morgue for 5 months? Unclaimed, unburied, caught in a bitter feud that has torn open the very fabric of national unity. What happens when the man tasked with healing that wound, a respected elder statesman from a neighboring nation, walks away, declaring the mission impossible? What does it say about a democracy when the body of its 6th president becomes a bargaining chip? When grief transforms into a courtroom spectacle? When a family's sorrow is weaponized in the arena of political warfare? Can you imagine, just imagine for a moment, being a widow, a daughter, a son, watching your father's remains held hostage across international borders, while politicians argue not about how to honor him, but about who gets to control the narrative of his final rest? Is this what we've become? A continent where even death cannot end the battles? Where reconciliation is so elusive that even a corpse cannot find peace? And now, with Dr. Bakili Muluzi's dramatic withdrawal from mediation announced just yesterday, November 11, 2025, what comes next? Who will break this deadlock? Or will Edgar Lungu remain frozen in limbo indefinitely, a haunting symbol of a nation unable to bury its own past? Stay tuned for full context, analysis, and exclusive updates. Subscribe for more political documentaries and breaking stories from across Africa. The revelation came to light yesterday morning when former Malawian President Dr. Bakili Muluzi released a carefully worded statement that sent shockwaves through the region. Let's establish the facts. Edgar Lungu, the 6th President of the Republic of Zambia, passed away on June 5, 2025, at the age of 68. He died in a Pretoria hospital in South Africa while receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness. He had served as Zambia's head of state from 2015 to 2021, losing his re-election bid to Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development. But here's where the story takes its extraordinary turn. Within days of his death, a bitter dispute erupted between the Zambian government and the Lungu family over funeral arrangements. The government wanted a state funeral in Lusaka, with full military honors, arguing that as a former president, Lungu deserved to be laid to rest at Presidential Burial Site 1, where all Zambian presidents are traditionally interred. The family refused. Categorically. They insisted on burying him in South Africa, citing what they described as systematic mistreatment and humiliation that Lungu suffered under the current administration. According to family spokesperson Makibi Zulu, the late president had left specific, explicit instructions. President Hakainde Hichilema was not to attend his funeral under any circumstances. The first scheduled repatriation, June 11, 2025, collapsed when the family withdrew cooperation at the last minute. A second attempt on June 18 also failed. Then came June 25, the day that changed everything. Hours before a private funeral service was set to begin in Johannesburg, Zambian Attorney General Mulalo Kabesha filed an urgent application in the Pretoria High Court, seeking an injunction to stop the burial. Picture this. Family members, dressed in black funeral attire, were forced to leave a memorial service and rush to a courtroom. The judge granted a temporary restraining order. The burial was halted. The court set August 4th as the date for a full hearing. On August 8, 2025, Judge President Aubrey Ledwaba delivered a ruling that stunned the family. Lungu's body must be handed over to Zambian authorities immediately for repatriation and burial in Lusaka. The court declared that a former president's personal wishes, or his family's wishes, cannot outweigh the state's right to honor him with a state funeral. The family filed an appeal. And there the matter has remained, locked in legal limbo. Enter Dr. Bakili Muluzi. The former Malawian president, respected across the region as a skilled mediator and elder statesman, was initially approached in early June to help broker peace. According to reports, he achieved a breakthrough agreement on June 15. Both sides had agreed to repatriate the body on June 18 for burial on June 23. But then the government, according to the family, changed its position. The agreement collapsed. Muluzi persisted. On September 9, 2025, 2 additional mediators were formally appointed to strengthen the process. His Grace Archbishop Dr. Alec Banda of the Lusaka Archdiocese and Bishop Professor Joshua H.K. Banda. Their involvement, Muluzi noted, provided a pastoral and nationally trusted framework within which dialogue could be advanced. But it wasn't enough. Yesterday, November 11, 2025, 5 months and 6 days after Edgar Lungu's death, Dr. Bakili Muluzi formally withdrew from the mediation process. Dr. Muluzi's statement was measured, diplomatic, yet unmistakably definitive. Let me read you the key passages directly. Despite meaningful progress, certain complex matters remained unresolved, leading me to formally return the issue to the Lungu family and the Zambian government for a conclusion. He continued, "It is our sincere hope that space will yet emerge for renewed, calm, and principled communication so that closure may be reached. However, given the prevailing circumstances and the inability to secure a conclusive pathway forward, it has now become necessary to withdraw from the mediation process and formally return the matter to the family, the Zambian people, the Zambian government, and other processes." Note those words, inability to secure a conclusive pathway forward. This is diplomatic language for an impasse that could not be broken. Muluzi added a deeply personal touch to his withdrawal. This will allow the final arrangements for the burial of the departed former president in a manner they will consider fitting and respectful and get this matter to a closure. May the soul of His Excellency Edgar Lungu rest in eternal peace. May the people of Zambia be strengthened with wisdom, unity, and grace. The family spokesperson, Makibi Zulu, had previously painted a picture of profound distrust. In a July interview with South African broadcaster SABC, Zulu made explosive allegations. If the government was truthful, they would tell you that things that were agreed between the president and President Bakili Muluzi. The president changed his mind later on. There have been other former presidents involved as well, but each time we made progress, the government shifted the goalposts. When pressed about the government's insistence on a state funeral, Zulu was blunt. President Hakainde Hichilema is incapable of giving President Edgar Lungu a dignified send-off. It would be a mockery. He elaborated on the family's position. This is an opportunity for us to tell a story, a great story of President Edgar Lungu, how that he lived as a president, served the nation as a president, and thereafter he was a person that was betrayed by the system, cast aside by the system. The body language, according to observers, told its own story. Lungu's sister, Bertha Lungu, was photographed in tears outside the Pretoria courtroom on August 8 after the judge ruled against the family. Attorney General Mulalo Kabesha, representing the Zambian government, struck a very different tone. After the court hearing in June, he told state broadcaster ZNBC, "He's not a refugee," referring to Lungu's body being held in South Africa. In a later statement, Kabesha said the government wanted a state funeral to ensure that all Zambian citizens can pay their respects in a dignified and appropriate way. The government's court papers were unambiguous. They demanded that the former president be buried in Zambia with full military honors, as mandated by Zambian law and in keeping with the public interest. Judge President Aubrey Ledweba's ruling on August 8 was equally clear and legally precise. A former president's personal wishes or the wishes of his family cannot outweigh the right of the state to honor that individual with a state funeral. The court noted that the Zambian courts have previously emphasized that a state funeral is a matter of public interest and protocol for a person of national significance, such that even if a president has expressed a desire not to be given a state funeral, such a wish must be overridden by public interest. And yet, here we are, 5 months later. The body remains in a Johannesburg morgue. The family maintains its position. The government maintains its position. And now, the mediator has walked away. What we're witnessing here transcends a simple disagreement over funeral protocols. This is a window into something far more profound and troubling about governance, legitimacy, and the unhealed wounds of political rivalry in contemporary Africa. The context cannot be ignored. Edgar Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema were sworn political enemies. Their conflict runs deep, back to 2017, when Hichilema was imprisoned for 4 months on treason charges during Lungu's presidency. That imprisonment became a rallying point for opposition supporters who viewed it as political persecution. When Hichilema won the 2021 election, the tables turned dramatically. Lungu lost his presidential benefits after the government accused him of continuing to engage in active politics. His movements were reportedly restricted. Police allegedly harassed him. Last year, Lungu publicly accused Hichilema's government of persecuting him. Then came the corruption charges. Lungu's wife and daughters, including Tassila Lungu, were arrested on allegations of money laundering, fraud, and possession of suspected proceeds of crime. The family has consistently characterized these prosecutions as politically motivated revenge. It's within this toxic atmosphere that Edgar Lungu died, and within this atmosphere that his burial has become impossible to resolve. Political analysts across the region have weighed in. Some argue that the Zambian government's insistence on a state funeral is legally correct and constitutionally appropriate, that a former head of state belongs to the nation, not just to his family. The state has prepared a grave. The law, they argue, is clear. Others counter that the government's heavy-handed approach, going to court on the very day of a planned private funeral, demonstrates a shocking lack of empathy and political wisdom. They point out that grief should not be litigated, that forcing a widow and her children to stand in a courtroom in their funeral clothes is a violation of basic human decency. Regional observers note that Dr. Muluzi's withdrawal is particularly significant because of his stature. This is a man who successfully mediated conflicts across southern Africa. His involvement initially raised hopes that his experience in conflict resolution and quiet diplomacy would break the impasse. The fact that even he could not find a path forward speaks volumes about how entrenched both sides have become. There are also troubling questions about regional polarization. According to analysis published in the Mail and Guardian, social media discussions reveal that support for the government's position comes mainly from regions that historically voted for Hichilema, while areas that supported Lungu remain conspicuously silent. Likely, analysts suggest, because of fear of repressive laws that police free speech under the current administration. The dispute has reinforced pre-existing fault lines in Zambian society. What should have been a moment of national unity, the passing of a former president, has instead deepened divisions. Legal experts have raised procedural questions as well. The South African court ruled that Zambian law takes precedence in this matter, but the family has appealed. The case remains technically unresolved, even as the government insists it has legal authority to seize the body. There's also the question of Muluzi's timing. Why withdraw now, in November, after months of effort? Sources suggest that the mediators concluded that the gap between the parties had become unbridgeable, that no amount of shuttle diplomacy could overcome the fundamental mistrust. One source close to the mediation told journalists, "You can't mediate when one side believes the other is operating in bad faith." And then there's the human element that gets lost in all the legal and political maneuvering. A family is grieving. 5 months have passed. Edgar Lungu's grave in Zambia, according to reports, sits empty, a stark, haunting symbol of a nation unable to reconcile with its recent past. Thank you so much for watching, viewers. This is one of those stories that really forces us to ask difficult questions about leadership, about reconciliation, about what we owe the dead and what we owe the living. I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Do you think the Zambian government is right to insist on a state funeral? Or should the family's wishes take precedence? Is there any path forward that honors both the law and the family's grief? And what does it say about President Hichilema's leadership that this situation has dragged on for 5 months? We'll continue to follow this story very closely. As new developments emerge, and they will emerge, we'll bring them to you right here on InspirAfrica Official. Until tomorrow, this is Nakash. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop asking the hard questions. Thank you and good day.